The Salinas Valley is known as one of the most productive agricultural regions in California. The warm weather combined with the cool coastal breezes make it an ideal place to harvest grapes for wine. It's here where we met 35-year-old Miguel Lepe, whose parents came from Mexico as farm workers.
And I think that's where I get my hard work mentality from.
As a winemaker, he supervises a crew also invested in making great wines.
Bueno, nos vamos a seguir con los punch downs.
Okay.
¿Me puedes ayudar con esos cajones? Vamos a trabajar con la uva.
Lepe is the assistant winemaker at Rath Wines, but he also makes wines for other people and has his own brand, Lepe Cellars, all made in one custom crush facility.
Most of our clients, they just have a vineyard or they just source from other vineyards as well. So some of them don't even have their vineyard. And so that we take care of the entire winemaking process for them.
After the grapes are crushed, the magic begins with the fermentation process. In this case, because Lepe is making Pinot Noir, the juice is combined with the grape skins.
During fermentation, the berries and all the solids rise up because of the CO2 created by the yeast. And so they're doing punch downs now to kind of mix it all back in.
The process of punching down is done 2 to 3 times a day for about a week. A larger amount, in this case 300 gallons, requires large steel tanks. The wine is then circulated, a process called pump over. From here, the final product will be stored in either French or American oak barrels.
The difference between French oak and American oak?
So the main difference is, yes, flavor. So different flavor profiles in terms of spice or vanilla. So it really does vary.
It was somewhat serendipitous that Lepe became a winemaker. A business major, he happened to take a wine production class.
And that one class completely changed my entire life.
Lepe then enrolled at Cal Poly and later interned at Figgy Cellars, where the owner allowed Lepe to make his own wine. That led to Lepe Cellars in 2015. But he is only among the 46 or so Mexican-American winemakers registered in California. UC Berkeley professor Alex Zaragoza is writing a book about some of these winemakers and why they have been so late to the game.
Acquiring the money to first lease and then maybe buy a plot and then buy another plot. Meanwhile, you're managing the vineyards of others, making for a steady income in order to be able to actually make your wine.
Only a few have had the kind of family expertise to know about winemaking. Belén Ceja's grandparents arrived in 1967 and eventually went into the wine business.
You'll hear my cousin say that we have wine in our veins, and it kind of continues to the next generation, which is myself.
But being part of the Ceja family didn't guarantee her a job at the winery.
No, you have to go to college, you need to get an education, you need to go do something else, like you're not going to be working out in the field.
After college, Ceja interned with another winemaker and today runs Heirs of My Dream Winery, a custom crush facility with about half a dozen clients.
Pretty.
Oh, it's picking up a nice color.
Her father Armando and his brothers own Ceja Winery. They now process their wine at the facility. But being a woman winemaker hasn't been all that easy. At first, a few clients wanted to deal only with her father. So now Belén never refers to him as dad in front of others at the winery. He is simply Armando, just another client.
Like anything else, there's hurdles in any job, and you just kind of figure it out and either jump over it or go around it and just make it work.
Professor Zaragoza says these young winemakers are trying hard to make a name for themselves in a very competitive field.
People expect it to be cheap. That's the part that really galls me. Really? You know, oh, I would buy it, but it's really expensive. And it's freaking good.
But Belén Ceja is optimistic about the future of women winemakers.
I actually just spoke to the director at Fresno State, and they have about 11 women future winemakers coming out.
Miguel Lepe is currently mentoring 2 interns.
Meet as many people as you can, ask lots of questions, and you got to let people know what you're interested in.
Seeing winemakers like Lepe and Ceja succeed will hopefully motivate an even younger generation to move forward. Leanne Melendez, ABC 7 News.